Well, Catherine, the owner here tells me the patio will stay open to everyone, but they put up this sign, and starting on Thursday, staff will check for proof of vaccination for all indoor seating. The owner says that could be everything from your vaccine card to even just a picture of it.
I will make the world famous Rum Club daiquiri.
Michael Shea says he joined with the Teardrop Lounge to create this coalition. Now, about 20 businesses have signed on, some choosing not to go public with that decision at this time. But the Rum Club owner tells us the list keeps growing. Shea says they made this decision after watching temporary closures at multiple Portland bars and restaurants due to exposure concerns. After closing 3 different times in the last year, Shea doesn't want to do that again.
I really don't like having to get in this situation where you're having to look at someone's, vaccination status. It's not something that's very pleasant to do in the restaurant industry, but I guess at the same time we do check IDs to make sure you're legal enough to drink. So, not that dissimilar.
The owner says in the last few days they did receive some negative reviews online, but tells us overall the response was positive. Over the weekend, they started checking vaccine cards for bar seating, and Shea says customers were gracious in complying with this change.
For the first time since the pandemic, there's some uncertainty over how protected children are against the coronavirus. While we are seeing more children get a severe case of COVID, those numbers are still really, really low. But the more that the virus is out there, the more chance there is that more children could get sick. Another first in the pandemic.
It felt to me like, at least where kids were concerned, we were on pretty even footing in terms of what we could safely recommend for parents. And now I feel like it's all just totally changing.
For more than a year, young children were able to avoid getting seriously sick from the coronavirus. But according to the Centers for Disease Control, that's changing. They put out this warning saying severe COVID cases in kids are going up. Dr. Fish with Brave Care in Portland says some of that can be explained.
We don't know that kids are more susceptible to Delta, but anytime you see an increase in case counts, by definition, more kids are going to get sick. So are more kids getting sick? Yes. Are they getting sick faster or to more of a degree than they did before? I don't think there's any evidence thus far to support that.
As cases continue to rise, so do questions from parents.
It's a ton of uncertainty out there. There's a ton of uncertainty, for parents on, how the Delta variant and potentially others are going to impact their kiddos.
Dr. Fish says proactive measures like masking for adults and children, as well as vaccinations for those eligible, will help keep kids safe. But there's no time to waste.
Sooner or later, if things continue on the way they are, there's going to be a variant that isn't, as responsive to the vaccine, and then we're in real trouble.
Dr. Fish says he's often asked by parents if it's safe for children from vaccinated families to hang out with other vaccinated families. He says before the Delta variant, it was a no-brainer. It was definitely safe. He says now it kind of depends on the situation and says that masking isn't a bad idea. Well, Catherine, people out here have a lot of opinions about the vaccine, but organizers we talked to earlier say that their biggest issue is this mandate that was handed down by hospitals just a few days ago. You can take a look at some of the crowd right here. They are lining the sidewalk up and down the overpass, the 205 overpass, and they tell me they plan to be out here for at least another hour voicing their concerns. With signs, cheers, and car horns, PeaceHealth workers are feeling supported as they speak out against the recent vaccine mandate by hospitals in the area. PeaceHealth issued theirs last week, saying that by August 31st, all healthcare workers and students need to be fully vaccinated against the coronavirus or submit a qualifying medical exemption. Those out here today don't believe the mandate is fair.
We don't want to have to be forced to choose between putting something in our body that we're not comfortable with and a job that we love so dearly. We're happy to wear our N95s to protect you. We just want to have the right to keep our job. We don't want to be villainized.
Katu reached out to PeaceHealth about today's rally. A spokesperson says they support individuals' rights to express their opinions, but their priority remains the safety of their caregivers and those they serve. They say this policy is a reflection of the hospital's mission to make sure every person receives safe, compassionate care at PeaceHealth. healthcare workers to be fully vaccinated, they'll need to get their first round of the coronavirus shot by this upcoming Tuesday, or if they get the Johnson & Johnson shot, they'll have to get that done by August 17th to be fully vaccinated by the end of the month.
I don't want to see more news about people who aren't involved.
As gun violence spikes across the country and in the metro area, city leaders and community groups gathered in Gresham today. They had a rally to address the rise in shootings.
Yeah, Catherine, several people at the event say change needs to happen at the community level. And this follows that shooting at this shopping center just last week. As this memorial grows, people who live in Gresham are now asking for accountability. Organizers called it the March Against Murder Rally. Community groups from across Multnomah County gathered at Vance Park to discuss solutions to gun violence. That includes Word is Bond. The group of high school students will spend the weeks ahead speaking with their peers about the rise in shootings.
I'm from the Montevilla area, and shots are common there every once in a while. There's parts of the year where it's a little more common. So pretty much everybody, not everybody, almost everybody is affected by it.
We also heard from the group Parents of Murdered Children. One board member says his son was shot and killed 15 years ago, and he's concerned with the recent violence.
I don't know exactly what's causing it. What my concern is where are the kids getting the guns from? Why aren't the feds out going after the people that are bringing the guns in?
The mayor of Gresham tells us this is an issue that communities are seeing across the country. Right now, Gresham law enforcement is partnering with local agencies for weekly meetings, trying to get ahead of trends to keep people safe. The mayor tells me the next step is engagement. He says events like the rally today are an opportunity to bring people together and look at new solutions to combat this challenge.
Today, communities across the Pacific Northwest rallied in support of removing dams along the lower Snake River. They claim the dams are posing a threat to the salmon. The EPA says that dams can make river temperatures rise, and anything above 68 degrees is dangerous for salmon. At last check, the Columbia River was at 77 degrees.
This is a critical moment. We're really at a nexus where we need to make a big decision. And that really comes down to our legislators. We need the legislators to follow the science and remove the lower Snake River dams.
This summer, they asked dam operators to release more water into the rivers in an effort to cool it down, but they refused. The department also filed a preliminary injunction in federal court against the Army Corps of Engineers addressing their operation of the Snake River dams. We have reached out to Governor Brown's office for comment on the Snake River dams and if she is considering removing them, and we'll let you know when we hear back.